In recent times, I've received more and more inquiries from you guys regarding Suzuki's little Jimny, and specifically whether or not the Jimny is a suitable vehicle to use for overlanding. And it's a very good question. Now, in order to answer this question properly for you, we've decided to buy our own Suzuki Jimny.
Zambia is definitely one of the most overlooked destinations for overlanding. But in my opinion, Zambia is the Premier League of overlanding destinations. It's an overlanding mecca.
When we arrived at Ironman to go and collect a few things before tour, we saw Mick packing the Jimny and he said he was taking it with. I was like, no, you're not. Oh, you really are.
I got myself a little performance certificate from the Zambia Traffic Police.
Yes, the roads are difficult in some places. The conditions can be tough. The one place that stands out of all of them is North Luangwa National Park. I'm Simon Stedman from Ultimate Adventures, and we operate guided self-drive 4x4 tours through southern and eastern Africa. This particular tour to North and South Luangwa is probably one of our more adventurous tours on the calendar. But in my opinion, the Luangwa Valley is probably one of the most spectacular wildlife destinations in Africa. Camp Nkwazi is a beautiful little campsite on the banks of the Zambezi River. It's one of our favourite campsites to visit when we're heading up this way. Beautiful grassy lawns on the camp, the ablutions are fantastic, and the deck overlooking the Zambezi is really a special place to enjoy a sundowner.
For those of you that have done long overlanding tours cross-border, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say some days are more challenging than others. Today was just such a day. Today is day 4. We left Uba Campsite this morning in Lusaka. We're on our way to the falls, and we've decided to cut our trip today a little short because this great North Road in Zambia was just very, very challenging today.
Kundalila Falls is situated just on the edge of the Luangwa Valley, and the Luangwa Valley and South Luangwa in particular marks the end of the Great Rift Valley. You can imagine as you enter that area, the views and the mountains and the scenery you start seeing is quite spectacular. Kundalila
is a very cool place. It's got a beautiful, I want to say walk, but it's more like a hike down to the waterfall, down to the pools, and you can actually swim at the bottom. So when we got there, I think people were quite tired. But I convinced everybody, put on the cozies and let's go, because it was also quite hot. So I think the thought of swimming in the pools underneath the waterfall got everybody. But the walk was quite intense, but we took it slowly, and it was through beautiful trees, beautiful forests, and yeah, most of us swam.
My trusty steed, the Jimny, well, I tell you what, I haven't had so much fun in a long time. And as it is on overlanding trips, you start realizing by day 3 and 4 little things that you should have done differently. I brought one of the very big, comfortable Ironman chairs. It's up on the roof in a bag, but I've realized since that when you stop and you want to have a quick sit down, you've got to undo the bag, undo the straps and get it down from there. So in future trips, I'll definitely go for a smaller, more compact chair, just in the back, last in, first out. And so as I travel along in this car, I'm starting to realize micro overlanding, you've got to alter your mind a bit and do things a bit differently, but we're learning as we go, but it's just such a great experience.
So convoy today, we're heading off to Capia Hot Springs, where we're going to have our much earned rest day. I think the road today is going to be probably the worst we're going to drive. You'll see once we go past Serenge, the road is going to almost disappear. There's going to be some of the biggest potholes you've ever seen in your life. But we're going to take it slow, make our way through those potholes slowly, get to Kapishya in the late afternoon, and then chill in those hot springs. Got the feeling in your bones, make you feel right at home. Honey, does it well, keep me dancing till I'm dead. 'Cause I could run
As you turn off the tar road to head to Kapishya Hot Springs, there's about a 30-kilometre gravel road which runs through a working dairy farm, but as you drive through there you kind of feel like you've been transported back 100 years in time.
Massive trees, old little buildings, and if this is the entry to the springs, I cannot wait to get there. It's been on my bucket list for so long. This is going to be epic.
Ain't looking back.
The campsite at Kapishya Hot Springs is situated on the banks of the Muncher River, so you've got that constant flowing water sound going past you at night, which is very soothing. And then the walk through the forests to the hot springs is a beautiful little kind of rainforesty feel, and the bird life in there is spectacular. And one of the species that we often see there is the Ross's taraka.
And then you get to the actual springs. It's just, you sit in there, 40-degree water, and you just look down because it actually flows into the river through these beautiful massive trees, and then all this steam comes off it. It's magical, magical.
Early morning here at Kapishya Hot Springs. Yesterday, when everyone arrived after that road, we just got in, had a nice braai, and it was a wonderful evening. But they say these springs look a tad different in the morning. Let's go have a look. Really nice just being here in this pool so early in the morning with all the birds singing, sun rising. It's truly a magical place, it really is.
What's really nice to do at Kapishya Hot Springs is to actually go early in the morning, because what happens is it's still quite cool from the evening, of course, and you sit in those hot pools and the steam just comes through that forest because the water runs out of the hot springs into the little river. So it's just this steam in this forest and just birds calling all around you.
My name is Mark Harvey. I own Kapishya Hot Springs Lodge in Shiwangandu, which is in the northern part of Zambia. There are three cold water springs that come into the hot springs, The water then goes down between 6 and 7 kilometers deep. They know that because they test for helium, and I hadn't realized that there are different types of helium. So that they realize that this is between 6 and 7 kilometers deep. It gets heated to 120 degrees and then loses 10 degrees with every kilometer coming back up. But the uniqueness about it is there's no sulfur. It's what they call a dilute spring. All the sand in there is natural. That's the erosion that's going on down below. I had it tested for drinking water a couple of years ago, and it's actually some of the purest drinking water that they've tested. A little bit acidic, it's 5.6 pH, but it's pure.
About 20 minutes from Kapishya Hot Springs is the Shiwa House, or the Africa House.
Starts with my grandfather. My grandfather came out with the British Army to do the Anglo-Belgian Boundary Commission in 1911 to survey the border or map the border between Belgian Congo and Northern Rhodesia as it was then. And the end of that survey, he decided instead of going back to South Africa to catch the boat, that he would walk from the copper belt from Ndola to Dar es Salaam, following where Livingstone had been. And he actually arrived here on the 13th of March 1913. So Gore Brown fell in love with the place, with the lake and things that was there. And he bought 10,000 acres at 6p an acre from the local chief. But by the time he got back to England, the First World War was imminent. And so he fought in that and then resigned his commission and came out in 1920. He originally started growing essential oils, which is distilling orange and lime blossom, and the neural oil that he was producing in the 20s and 30s was more valuable than gold. Gold was £5 an ounce and he was getting £7 an ounce. He'd always had a dream of building this baronial estate, and so he eventually started building an enormous, the Shiwa House or the Africa House, making his own bricks and his own clay tiles. He brought over a smithy and a carpenter to show the staff how to do it. But he didn't just build himself an enormous house. He built a hospital, he built two schools, he built workers' houses. So in the 50s, and he was actually in the cabinet representing African affairs in the colonial government. He quite quickly realized after the Mau Mau revolution uprising in Kenya and what was happening in the Congo, what had happened in Ghana, that he didn't want to see Zambia go the same way with a bloody uprising. So he resigned from the cabinet on the proviso that they put two Zambians onto the cabinet to represent the Africans. He then befriended Kaunda, who was our first president, and he persuaded Kaunda to actually negotiate for independence and not to have a struggle. Zambia realized that he had quite a lot of influence on both sides. So he actually went with Kaunda to United Nations to represent Zambia's case. And he was actually given the accolade of the white man with a black heart. He died in '67 and he was actually given a state funeral, which was quite something in those days. My mother was his eldest daughter. She then married my father, who'd been brought up in Livingstone but had been in the army. There were four of us kids, and we all ran away, went to the Great Smoke, and very sadly, folks were murdered in 1992. We think to do with the poaching that was going on in North Luangwa, and it made us actually come back. So first of all, my younger brother came back up from Lusaka, then I did, and then my older brother bought out my younger brother. And I took this over in the, was it late 90s? And it was very run down. The road was even worse than the road you drove on yesterday. And I've slowly built this up over the last 20 years. And we have a lovely saying in Bemba, which is "Mwawela kumushi," you've come home.
So in the weeks preceding to this trip, I told many people that I was bringing the Jimny to northern Zambia. And I tell you what, there was just a massive amount of naysayers. You're not going to make it, the Jimny won't make it. Yet here we are after 6 days of pretty hard going. The roads in Zambia are challenging. You've got to keep your wits about you. But, you know, here we are. Made it in one piece. This is a rest day today. 7th day is a rest day here at Kapishya Springs, and we're going to float around in the hot water springs. There's a pool just on the way to the lodge from here, and just chill out and recharge our batteries. And then the African safari start of our trip starts, where we head into North Luangwa. Really looking forward to that. But I'm just really so chuffed with the Jimny, having a heap of fun. It's comfortable. I want for nothing. In fact, this morning, Dirk and I have decided to take a little time out and make a nice cooked breakfast. So I'm going to make us some scrambled eggs. We've got some ham and cheese on rolls. We'll have another cup of his fantastic plunger coffee and just chill out and relax. It's been good so far. Looking forward to the rest of the trip.
Hola, Master P.
Hola, Maji.
How are you?
Good, man.
What are we having for dinner tonight?
Today we are having beef and beer poiki and beer bread with rice and potato and butternut grating.
Tell me, where did you learn to cook?
I've learned my cookings at the Palabora. There's a chef school there, it's Mushate Hotel School. That's where I've learned how to do the magic and stuff.
Ah, I like it.
Eta hola meni.
Eta hola.
Good morning, convoy. So today we get into the meat of the tour. We start heading to North Luangwa. We leave the tar road behind. Happy to tell you that it's the last of the Great North Road that you're going to see. So we're going to turn off the tar road, deflate the tires, and let the adventure begin.
We just turned off the main road. We're now on a stretch of gravel road to our first campsite inside of North Luangwa, but it's time to deflate the tires before we hit this gravel road.
Our first destination in North Luangwa is the Somala Campsite. It's a community-run campsite situated on the banks of the Moleshi River, and it's just outside the Manu Gate of North Luangwa. So it's a good place to access the park from. The campsite on the banks of the river is beautiful. We sat there and watched baboons playing on the rocks, which was quite fun to watch. And from there we head into the park and then continue down to the Luangwa River. So from Somala Camp we head kind of down through North Luangwa National Park until we get to the Luangwa River, and there we're faced with one of the biggest challenges of the trip. There's a little pontoon crossing to go over the Luangwa River, and the unfortunate thing is it's quite a small pontoon, so you can't fit a vehicle and a trailer on in one go.
Every now and then there are checkpoints, and this specific one is to prohibit the spread of tsetse flies.
We've just reached the pontoon over the Luangwa River, so where we exit North Luangwa. So we've got a few vehicles with trailers, so we've come down straight to the pontoon. The other guys are doing a game drive. Because this takes a bit of time. We've got to take the trailer off the vehicle, take the vehicle over, and then I'm going to have to turn around and use the winch to get the trailer onto the pontoon. The last time we did this it took 6 hours to get over, so I'm hoping now this time we're going to break that record and get across nice and smooth. Let's hope we do it.
With 43 degrees?
44 degrees now.
Nice.
44 degrees, black shirt, good planning. So get to the pontoon crossing, need to unhitch the trailer, get the vehicle across, and then turn it around so it's facing the river, and then the Ironman 4x4 monster winch comes into action. Just pull that out, send it over with the pontoon, and then slowly winch the trailers onto the pontoon, which is, I think, the safest and best way to do it.
So the pontoon is a very rugged last-minute built pontoon, because every year when the floods come down it obviously washes everything away, so it always changes along the river. So eventually when we got to the pontoon, it's just a whole lot of branches put across the sand, and when you go over it and you've done it, you look at it and you're like, this is Africa.
What's happening, buddy?
We've been here for 3 hours. We've got 2 cars and 2 trailers over the ferry. We've got another 2 cars to go. No, lie. We've got another car and a trailer, and then 2 cars to go, and then the rest of the convoy will arrive later. But we're throwing the towel in now. We're going to get across the ferry, go to the camp, set up camp, and go and lie by the pool. There's no pool.
There is no. You nearly got me excited there.
It's very hot. It's just over 40 degrees C. It's mental.
I think one of the highlights of the pontoon was Mick hanging at the back there, and once we'd all got across, the guys kind of pulling that pontoon over, when that little Jimny jumped on there, you should have seen the smiles on their faces. They were like, hey, and they just went across there in no time. I don't even think they had to row. I think the wind blew it over.
We have arrived at Camp Ituba, right next to the Luangwa River. Look at this beautiful view.
Just river frontage everywhere, nice and shady, beautiful ablutions. Oh, this is an epic camp spot, look at that. Hopefully there's some ellies or animals coming through later this afternoon. It's still very hot, but super happy to be here. Wow.
So once we get over the pontoon, the Uba campsite isn't far from there. So we just drive down the Luangwa River, and it's a beautiful spot right on the banks of the river. You're almost in the river, camping under this massive anaboom, and there's elephants walking around in the campsite. While we were there, they were coming through most of the day. So from Uba, we head south, just away from the river a little bit. We actually kind of drive down parallel to the river for a while. And in between North and South Luangwa, there's a little community-run campsite called Kamukonzo. It's always worth a stopover because it's a bit of a long drive to do in one day, and we like to support these community campsites as well. So from Kamukonzo campsite, we keep going south in the direction of Mfuwi town, and we travel through a wildlife area called the Nsefu sector, and that's kind of when the game viewing starts. There's quite a lot of game in that area. We head through the little town of Mfuwi, which is where we'll get some supplies, fill up with fuel, and then head to the wildlife camp.
Thank you so much for watching. If you do like the videos, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. And if you want to tour with Ultimate Adventures, go to ultimateadventures.tv. See you next time.
It's about 45 degrees and it's very hard to film outside, and I know Mick is also quite hot. So I've got a little spray bottle here for Mick. Are you ready?
Man, it's hot. We're melting here.
Garth,
What's that?
would you like some African delight?
Shoot. That's refreshing, but
It's like, eh?
yeah. Yes, I'm going to do that. I've got one of those things.
Ah! Woo. Yes, please. Ah.